If you are going to have an interview at Frontier, in this video, I am going to reveal the 7 most common questions for the flight attendant position, along with tips for the answers. Hello, how are you? I am Romulo Gutierrez. This is the Flight Deck Briefing Channel. I have been a recruiter and headhunter for 28 years with extensive experience in the North American and global markets. Currently, I provide training for recruiters from 45 airlines all over the world, showing them ways for recruiters to find the best talent. And today, I am going to give you those 7 questions that Frontier asks in flight attendant interviews. Question 1, why are you choosing Frontier to work as a flight attendant? Okay. For this question, it is very important to have 4 aspects, 4 points that are very important and that recruiters love to hear. First, it is a more affordable airline for passengers. It has a much lower cost to fly. Second, it is a very eco-friendly company concerned with environmental issues. Third, it is seeing significant growth. It is looking for growth, seeking other routes, other destinations. And fourth, even being a lower cost airline, it manages to offer excellent services. So a good answer would be, look, I really believe in the way Frontier works. First, it connects people at a much lower cost. And I think that in a world where money is so tight, I think that is a very important value for my professional vision. A second point, the ecological issue. I am someone who cares about the environment, and I carry this cause with me. Therefore, I think Frontier is an excellent company for me to work as a flight attendant, since it brings together values I truly believe in. Of course, it is a fictional answer, just for you to understand, but try to make connections with these aspects that I mentioned in this question. Second question, the Frontier recruiter. He is going to ask you, how would you handle a customer who does not want to follow the safety rules? How would you handle that? A customer does not want to follow the safety rules. What would you do? And then your answer needs to be focused on 3 points. Point 1, safety first. Point 2, firm compliance. I will explain that in a moment. Point 3, knowing how to de-escalate the conflict. So a good answer would be, look, if the customer does not want to comply with safety regulations, at first, Frontier is not going to negotiate safety regulations. Everyone must comply with them fully. And I would show him that in a very firm, yet very polite way. And I would try as much as possible to show that these rules make sense for the safety of the crew, for the safety of the passengers, for the safety of the aircraft, so that everyone can have comfort. And then I'd explain it to him calmly, but without compromising on any aspect or important rule that everyone must follow. That's how I would act in this situation. This would be a good answer. Okay, let's move on to the third question. Before I go to the third question, if you don't know my ebook, The 50 Errors You Can't Make in Any Airline Selection Process, it'll save you a lot of study time because there are 50 errors that candidates, flight attendants, most often make in selection processes. This ebook is in the first pinned comment and in the video description. Check it out later. Third question in the Frontier interview. How would you feel in a job where the environment is very fast-paced and with very short layover times, right? Remembering that because it's an economy profile airline, it's natural for the flight attendant to have multiple roles. Often on an aircraft, you'll have 1, sometimes 2 flight attendants to do a very exhausting job with very tight service and time schedules. So that's why they're going to ask that. So how do you feel in a very fast-paced job where things have to happen quickly and with short layover times? So a good answer is based on 3 aspects, which are adaptation, physical and mental care, and it's cool to bring a practical example. So I could say, look, regarding this issue, I'm a very adaptable person. If the schedule's tighter, I adapt easily. If there's a longer rest period, I'll also rest. So I'm a very adaptable person. Regarding the issue of working faster, always following safety procedures, I take great care of my physical health. I like to take care of my body. I like to take care of my mind precisely to handle pressure situations well. And I'll give you an example. And then you cite an example using the STAR methodology. STAR is situation, task, action, and result. STAR method. Situation, task, action, and result. Cite the example so that you can show him that you know how to handle this type of situation. Let's move on to the fourth question. The Frontier recruiter will ask you, suddenly the flight was delayed. The passengers are boarded on the aircraft and start to complain to you about that delay. How would you act in this situation? And then the answer has to come within, there are three fundamental pillars, which are transparent communication, pressure management, and passenger comfort. So at first I would say, look, in case of a flight delay, at first I would be very polite to the passengers. I would explain the reason for the delay with very transparent communication because Frontier Airlines values that. At least that's everything I've read. I would manage the pressure, even with a delay, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. I would stay on my feet, smiling and available to all the passengers. And obviously, whatever I could do to provide more comfort to those passengers, I would certainly do it calmly until we were in a position to take off. That's how I would act. Now, I'm going to the fifth, sixth, and seventh questions, which I believe are the ones where most candidates fail. Before I continue, I need your subscription. And if you want the flight deck briefing mentoring, it's a live and online mentoring, okay? For your interview, your video interview, your group dynamics, your resume, your cover letter, no matter the stage, you can reach out to the contacts here, okay? On WhatsApp or on the website. The website and WhatsApp are located here in the first comment of the video and in the video description, okay? If you want to schedule automatically, you can do it through the website. Okay. If you want to talk to me via WhatsApp, you can call me and we'll schedule your individual live and online mentoring. Remember, flight deck briefing, new videos every Monday and Wednesday without fail for you. Okay. Your like and your comment are important to me. Fifth question. Are you a good salesperson? What is your comfort level with making onboard sales? So we can't forget that to generate more revenue, Frontier, the flight attendant, is also a sales agent. They are a sales professional. So it's very common for you to offer drinks, food, snacks, anyway, reading materials, a whole range of things to passengers throughout your flight. And so it's very important for you to show that you have sales skills, all right? For this question, I don't have specific pillars to recommend, but the best thing is to show that you have this skill. Yes, I feel extremely comfortable. I believe that everything important to increase revenue during the flight, financial revenue, is something fundamental, and I have sales skills. For example, then bring an example of where you worked, where you acted, if you've already met sales goals, if you've already achieved sales numbers. It's a good answer, without a doubt. The sixth question is, tell me about your strengths and tell me about your weaknesses. The Frontier recruiter will ask, or they might even change it a bit and say, tell me the strengths to be a Frontier flight attendant and the weaknesses you have to be a Frontier flight attendant. Strengths. Always try to work with, first, aspects that are true. It's no use making up strengths that you don't have. Create strengths or bring up strengths that are real, all right? Because often when you take tests, psychological tests, cultural fit tests, very likely they'll already have a description of your personality. So mention real strengths. For example, me. As for my strengths, I'm a person who really likes to talk. I'm a person who treats others very well. I'm a cheerful person. What else? I'm a person who follows rules well. So these are positive points I can work with confidently if I were the candidate, because they're positive points that really help in the flight attendant profession. And what if you're a good salesperson? That's an excellent positive point for working at Frontier. Okay, so there's no use lying. My tip is grab a scratch pad, a piece of paper, like this one here, for example. You could take a paper, fold it literally in half, and here on this side, I'll put my positive points, and here I write my positive points, all my positive points before the interview, so I can mention 3 in the Frontier interview, okay? Now, about negative points, it's also important to be sincere, but you shouldn't mention negative points that would hinder the profession. I think this is one of the most important points, not bringing up negative points that hinder the profession. Clumsy, inattentive, difficulty working under pressure, difficulty multitasking. That's everything a Frontier Flight Attendant candidate cannot be. Then, suddenly, you mention weaknesses that cast doubt on your competence for that role, and you'll very likely fail. But if you do this exercise I'm suggesting beforehand, take your sheet at home and do a self-knowledge exercise for real. Divide the sheet, positive points, write down the positive points, negative points, describe the negative points. Certainly, when you get to the negative points, you'll choose the right negative points that you can mention. And the 7th question, which is the first question in the Frontier interview, they'll ask it. There's no doubt they'll ask it. Right at the beginning, they say, "Can you give a presentation about yourself?" And here's my tip. Don't make a very long presentation. Make a presentation that shows your customer service skills. Make a presentation that shows your characteristics of discipline. But so I don't have to keep explaining all this. I have a script on how to answer this question when you're a flight attendant candidate. The question, tell me about yourself. For this question, the entire complete script is right here in this video. Go watch it now. It'll help you a lot. Excellent preparation. Take care and see you soon. Bye.